Any issues, any questions? Because somebody was asking me about a due date. I couldn't remember what I put down. Can you all refresh me?
Is it 16 January?
16 January, let me check, okay. I think should be right lah. I mean, your exam is on the 24th, isn't it? Yeah. I think 16 January, we leave it as it is first, okay? Your class will finish on the second week of January. 16th of January. Okay, your class will finish this week, next week. Wait, this is December, right? This week, next week, 14, yeah, 16. We're putting it down at 16 at the moment, okay? Should you need any extension, we can discuss about it on the 13th when we have a class. Okay. I think your exam is on the 24th, if I'm not wrong, according to the schedule. So yeah, I mean, we can give you extra a few days lah, but not a lot, you see, because after 24th, while you're sitting for an exam, I don't think you really want to be handling your assignments at the same time, you see. So better we set it at 16th first for now, okay? And then if you have any issues, we can actually give you a few more days, but we discuss about that on the 11th or the 13th. Can we do that? Yeah, okay, good. So you all okay, huh? So just yeah. Oh, you haven't gotten the final exam schedule. I think, if I'm not wrong, let me check. Ooh, wait. The other day, Dr. Lee kind of showed me the exam, the time for our PM exams. Yeah, so where is it? I distinctively remember it's on the 24th. Yeah. 2-4 in the afternoon. 5 hours. It's going to be a 5 hours take home exams. So you don't have to be online face to face with me. It is a rather long paper, actually. I'll brief you guys on definitely on the 13th. You don't worry about that, okay? Where is it? Oh, okay. The problem with having too many groups. Sitting in the wrong group. Yeah. 24th, 2 to 7 p.m. Okay? That would be so far lah. Because they haven't announced it to you. Basically, yeah, that's it, lor. Okay. They haven't announced it to you, so I wouldn't presume. So far they asked us, so we will just have to say there's no issue. So likely it's going to be on the 24th, unless some students have issues with clashes and all that. Then you have to talk to the exam unit, you know. Yeah, and then they will do the rearrangements. But so far it's on the 24th. Okay, 24th of January. 2022. Okay. 2 to 7 p.m. It's going to be a 5 hours take home exam, right? Okay. Right, let's get started. How is everyone doing with the pre-recording? Have you gone through all the pre-recording already? The one attending here, 40 plus of you who is not affected by the flood, you know? Have you guys gone through it? Anyone? Not all yet. Okay, so we've got somebody very honest here. Not all yet. Okay. Basically, the reason why I was asking is because the lecture is going to be kind of like a continuation of what we're going through today, you see. So if we haven't finished going through yet, so you may be a bit lost as we are going through this today. Okay, so don't be surprised that you don't really know what I'm talking about because you haven't finished listening to the recording previous week, you see. But all the recording has been posted and you should go through it as soon as possible. And yeah, so that you have a better understanding of the following classes, okay? And right, so if there's no other questions, like I was going to ask if there's any questions, anything on the recording, you know, if there's anything that you don't understand from the recording, but it looks like no, okay? So we just proceed with the class, okay? So basically we were talking about this project life cycle, remember earlier on, and then you know the delivery phase is whereby you're doing your procurement exercise. Actually, I've mentioned it in the recording as well that procurement actually starts very, very early, you know, as well. You know, it doesn't start just at the delivery phase. In the earlier phases, in the conceptual phases, whereby it is a go ahead when you're setting the scope of work, you know, and all your requirement cycle will begin in the earlier phases. And then when it comes to the project planning, you are going to be planning for your procurement strategy, the requisition cycle. You see, this is going to be the requisition cycle, and then you're going to be moving into the solicitation cycle and the award cycle in the delivery phase. But in the earlier phases, you are actually trying to get the project data right, you know, and get the project, what the client wants right, you know, then you will know what to procure, you see. So procurement actually starts really early as well in the earlier phases whereby you need to understand that you need to understand the requirement of the project. So project requirement actually is what we call the requirement cycle. And once you've got that requirement done and that requirement cycle whereby you understand the nature of the project, you understand what is the environment surrounding the projects, you know, and then after studying the project and finding that there is a room to procure that you can actually make or buy, you know, that you decide to go for the make version, buy, make version, then this is the time that, you know, you will call for requisition. And when you call for requisition, is you are confirming that you are buying, making this particular item, you see, this particular product or this particular facilities. And then after that, when that requisition is starting already, so your client says viable, it is viable, you have the money to do it, it is feasible. So we get it started, your requirements finish, and then you start your requisition. And in your requisition, you're determining the strategy based on whatever that you've gotten from your requirement cycle. And then based on the input from requirement cycle, whereby you set the contracting strategies and procurement strategies. So we've got like 4 recordings on procurement strategies and 4 recording on contracting strategies, okay? So once you've got the strategy set up and all the legal documentations and all the paperwork all set up for the contract documents all set up, then we are going to go for our solicitation cycle. And you call for solicitation, and the solicitation cycle will be kickstart, you see. And when the solicitation cycle kickstart, you are preparing all the documentation for the solicitation cycle, meaning that the tendering documents, you know, and which includes things like whatever you've gotten in the contract document plus tendering document, whereby you need to put down the requirement for the submission of tender, requirement to fill up whichever part of the tender forms, you know, and then you're also talking about summary of tender. So all these are, you need to prepare for the contractor to fill up the rates and money, you know, and proposal and you know, you need to, tendering documents are usually, I mean, like if I have to put it very, very simply, it will be, you need to prepare for columns and rows and paperwork that the contractors need to fill up, the builders or the service provider need to fill up in order to complete their proposal to you. And the proposal can be price, can be rates, can be schematic drawings, it can be a full-on proposal. So it can be anything, you know, or the proposal of the scope of their services and all that. So this is what we call tendering document, the documentation related to tendering, you see. And you will see that in your solicitation cycle, it will start off with preparation, and then approval for tendering, and then documentation. And we talk about documentation is the part that I'm talking about now, the things that the contractor needs to fill up. So you need to prepare documents for them to fill up, like maybe they have to propose the a brand, the make, of the pumps, the items, the pipes, the concrete, the supplier name, and then they need to provide catalog for the bars, steel bars that they are buying, and then they need to provide for the rates in what we call the schedule rates, and then after that they will need to propose the quantity. I mean, the quantity is, if it's a BQ one, the quantity will be there, and then they need to propose the rate. Okay. If it's a schedule rate contract, then it's going to be just purely schedule rate, just the rate itself that they're proposing, and they may be going for a remeasurement contract later on. So again, these are the documentation that is being prepared. Then after that, they will be talking about also submission and how you do submissions and where you do submission and closing time for submissions for the tender documents and all that. So we finish that bit, then you go on to actually do processes, like they will do estimation, they will do calculation, and then after that they submit the tender, we do tender evaluation on the client's end, and then after that you select your contractor, then you finish your solicitation cycle. So when you finish your solicitation cycle, you are basically completing the whole award phase. Okay, so you are moving into the award phase. So when we talk about construction management, which is the topic that we're going to be talking about today, it is after the solicitation cycle. Okay, and we talk it is during the award phase, is after the award phase. So the award phase here is going to be the central, it's like the pivot point, it's like a turning point. So from all your procurements, the major procurement items such as requirement, requisition, and solicitation. So this will be the pivoting point, you see, that the work is awarded, so in the award cycle, first you will give out a letter of intent. And this letter of intent is just the intention to give you the job, so you are prepared to come in for maybe tender interview, or to come in and talk to us more about your work or proposal and all that. So that is letter of intent, but it is not yet still a confirmed go ahead. So it's only after you issue what we call a letter of award, then all this is going to be confirmed. So letter of award is a letter or document that authorizes a contractor to perform the work, starting to perform the work already, meaning that there will be there is an agreed sum of money, there is an agreed term there, and you are supposed to come in and sign the contract document at a certain date that is stated in the letter of award. So letter of award in contract is actually what we call a quasi-contract. Quasi-quarter, it's almost like a half a contract, but we call it quasi. Quasi means a quarter of a contract. So you are there, you're just pending signing the agreement. So if you do go and order material and buy material and order at that point in time, if the contract is being pulled back, you can actually ask for compensation. But if it's letter of intent, you cannot do that. Okay. So when you receive a letter of intent, you just like, it's a happy thing. You will go and relook at your proposal or your tender and see if you miss out on anything, and then you may be called to negotiate further on your rates or on your final pricing, giving discounts and providing better materials, etc. So there will be some form of negotiation usually after letter of intent. It's only after letter of award is being issued that everything is pretty much set. Okay. So this pivoting point, when you go through this point, you are essentially finishing this point, and then you'll be starting, if you see the pivot is that you turn, so the part that you turn from solicitation to contract administration is the award phase, you see. So in the award phase, once you finish your awarding phase, which will probably take about a month or so normally, and sometimes it may take longer. And that's why we have tender validity. So meaning that I propose as a builder service provider, I propose a price to you, my validity is only 3 months. If you don't give me this in 3 months' time, I can choose to increase my price. So that's the purpose of having a tender validity period, which is actually stated in the documentation. You know, this is part of things you should be stating in the documentation of the solicitation phase, you see. Now after that, we'll be moving into what we call two sides, okay? Two ends. One is going to be the contract administration and one is going to be the construction, the physical construction engineering end, okay? So as a project manager, your job basically, it is dealing with both, you know, in both, as in you are going to be dealing with the very technical construction engineering, the work method statement, you know, the actual assembling of the parts of the project together, building, constructing, you know, all these things are actually under the very technical construction engineering. We call it construction engineering, you know. If you look at my notes here, it's under construction engineering. So you'll be dealing with a lot of the technical things, like how things are being put together. It's like you're building, if you imagine your project as a Lego, this construction engineering bit is like putting the Legos together. It's physically putting the Legos together. So the machinery will come in, they will do work, you know, you need to supervise, you need to oversee concreting, bar bending, checking, quality control and all that. So this is very technical. Okay, so you'll be referring to drawing, specification, testing reports, and all these are dealing with doing it right technically, meaning that you're following the design that is being given. So that is one part that you need to manage. And together with that part, you are managing it together with project management. So you're managing the technical part, you're utilizing the tools and the techniques that you have for project management as well. So management, technical, they are together, they're hands in hand. So they're managing the technical. You're also managing another aspect, which is the financial, the schedule, the equipment, the materials, the QA, QC, so the people working, the manpower. So this bit is actually like overlapping. So you are having your technical bit ongoing at one end, and then you have the management bit, you know, supporting your technical bit to deliver whatever you need to deliver from the technical things that you need to carry out, you see. And part of the technical, part of the management thing, beside the traditional time, cost, quality, human resources, equipment, machineries, you know, besides all these things, you are actually also going to manage the contract as well. And that's why contract management, project management, construction engineering, you know, the actual engineering work, these are like three things that are parallel going on at the same time during construction management. And a lot of engineers overlook contract management. They kind of like know they need to do something in construction engineering. They kind of know they need to look after the schedule. So it is quite auto. It's like they're on autopilot for construction and also project management. But many of them are not actually autoing on the contract bit, you see. So that's why the awareness of contract administration needs to be instilled in young engineers as they move into the next stage of their life, their career, you see. And contract management, whether you know it, whether you like it, whether you're willing or open about it, it doesn't matter, because you have to do it. Okay, as an engineer, you need to administer whatever that is stated in the contract. There will be issues and items and, you know, problems that you need to use the contract to resolve. And the contract is there to set down that legal relationship between the two parties, you see, and how they should behave and what rights they have and what obligations they have. So in that sense, you as engineers in the job, whether you're in the contractor region or you are in the client region or you're in the design professional region, looking after the job, in let's say the traditional general contracting, you are the representative from the client. This does not affect your contract administration, because in the contractor end, you need to know what you need to do contractually. If you want money from the client, you need to submit a claim. You know, if there is delay, you need to submit application for extension of time. So this is the contract. You need to administer it, you see. So whether you like it or not, whether you're willing or not, whether you know or not, you see how to do it. So either you learn it now and do it later, or you do it, you don't want to listen to this, you feel it's boring, and then you don't want to learn it, and then you have to learn it the hard way later on. When problems occur, you learn from experience, you learn from, getting hurt, ramming into walls, getting scolded, getting blamed, being having issues with the client and all that, to learn it the hard way. We can do that as well. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. See, so you need to know the basic, so that's why we give you that. So today I'm going to talk more about construction engineering and the project management aspects of construction management. So on Thursday, I will be moving into contract administration. So we will be looking into more on things like contract administration, like your extension of time, variation order, instructions from engineers, LAD, payment, interim payment, penultimate payment, So all these are actually going to be part of your life as well. So we are going to look into that as well. And today, the construction engineering project management, we will tell you how we are going to run our project based on combining construction engineering and project management. So this is how we are going to set up this construction management studies, in your project management studies. You see, so okay. I hope you're clear with the directions that we are looking at, so don't get confused. They are all together. It's going to be run at the same time, okay? So this week, next week, construction administration, until the end of next week, I would likely be giving you on this, hopefully we'll finish in 2 class, contract administration, and then we will, I mean, it is more than 2 class, definitely, but we will have to give you some of the more essential, the things that you will be using, the tools that you'll be using a lot more compared to those that you don't really frequently use. So these are the running of the lecture. Until end of next week, we'll be doing contract administration, and I may slot in dispute resolution. And there will be a bit of a lacking. I need to give you a recording on what is a contract, like what is a contract, what is the legality. This is like more on legal and law, engineering law. So how to form a contract. So this one here, I will do it by recording. So I wouldn't be too worried about it, but it's just the additional information for you. It used to be in the syllabus, but we actually took it out already. So but I'll still give you a recording on that, just to give you a feel about how to form a contract. See? And then at the end of the week, week 14, we will be talking about engineering economics. I forgot about engineering economics actually. But those of you who are taking elective for engineering economics with Dr. Lee next semester, it's going to be a lot more intense, a lot more things to study. So what I'm going to give you is some of the tools and techniques for feasibility studies. And finally, it's going to be basically the exam, talking about exam classes, and what is in the exams and all that. Okay, so this is how we're going to finish up our project management. So bear with me. We've got another few, just 2-3 more weeks to go, basically. And okay, yeah. So this is under contract administration. So this is the overview. So this particular section here is an overview. So the second set of the notes that I will be posting for you will be the this one here, okay, coming up. So as a project manager, or dealing with as a construction manager, actually some people use the word project manager and construction manager similarly. But project manager actually is considered as project director. They are bigger, they are going to be more intense. So intense as in they are going to be starting from the planning all the way down to handing over, and there's going to be a big umbrella for project manager. Whereas construction manager, you're more focusing on the part that I'm talking about, the site, the actual work, the physical delivery, realization of the project in the project delivery stage, whereby you're looking at how to deliver the project, how to put things together, and then how to manage schedule, manage the estimates, QA/QC, so and also the contract. So in fact, if I were to look at it, a construction manager is more on the receiving end of the project plan, and you will be doing more on the monitoring and the controlling, okay? And you'll be reporting back to the project manager. The project manager can also be carrying out the CM's job, the construction manager's job, okay? And why? Because they may be one guy who is actually, it's a big project, so they will take from all the way from planning, conceptual planning, all the way down to project realization during the construction stage. So it can be by that one project manager, or you can engage a separate CM, a separate construction manager to do the job. If the project is really small and your engineers are actually pretty young, so normally we just call them project engineers, okay, or construction manager. Construction manager is quite a big title, so we will call them project engineers. And usually project engineers title, construction management title, manager titles, they are usually given by the contractor. And if the people who are in the engineers who are in the construction stage, supervising and all that, from the design office or the professional designers, they are usually called the residence engineer, RE. And if they're really, really young, they may be called the clerk of works. Okay, so these are the different calling lah, but they are all there doing construction stage. So the owner can also employ a construction manager to look after the entire project during construction stage. So the contractor may have their own project engineer, the owner may have their own construction manager, and then the designer may have their own residence engineer, RE, So okay. And if we talk about RE, or what they call clerk of work, remember, this resident engineer is different from the resident engineer that you are seeing in JKR. Like that's a different division. They have their residence engineer. This is different. This is the site, based on site engineers for that particular project. They are representing the design professional team. You don't call a contractor's engineer RE. You don't call a owner's construction manager clerk of work or RE. This title solely belongs to the design professional team. Okay, so yeah. So what you do now, when you get the project, you win the tender, you are being awarded, you sign a contract. Normally, what we do is we will need to start to create a file. This is a job file, and this job file you will go through, like what are the reference number. So all the communication later will have a reference number for that particular file. So then you will also have what you call the incoming letter and the outcoming communication. So you need to keep them in proper order, whether it's going to be in the computer systems plus a hard copy systems, Many of the letter and correspondence we will still keep in hard copy for the purpose of backup reasons. We don't really purely trust online systems like cloud and all that. You could be hacked, and then there may be problems. You may lose all your data, and that will be a disaster. So, and besides that, contractually, you also be sending some very important correspondence, instructions, and letters, and VOs and all that via mail. Okay, meaning that after you email, you have to print it out, and you need to actually send it to the other person's office, and they will have to chop and sign on the letter or on the receiving documents. Okay, this is to make sure that they have received the instructions. This is all for contractual purpose. Not only is for backup purpose, but for contractual purpose. In case that there's issues, like they will say that, oh, I didn't receive your email, I didn't get your thing. So then you can dig up the documents and say that your company put a chop on the receiving end. So so this is considered as received already by the other side. In any contract, if you don't have a proper offer and acceptance, there is no contract. And the proper offer and acceptance need to be communicated via correspondence, via proper correspondence. And there will be a very specific saying that it has to be by registered mail, or if it's delivered to somebody's office, there will be a chop and sign. There must be a signature saying that it is received. Whether the offer is being given out, received, it has to be signed. Okay, so these are some of the reasons we keep hard copies. Okay, and you will have files for maybe contract, files for specs, file for drawings, and file for correspondences, and these are all being set up at the early stages of the project. And if you do have very good project clerks or project coordinators, or those the young engineers who is actually working as a coordinator in the office, those people are always very good at creating all these files and putting in all the communication. All the filing works needs to be done properly, because if there is a dispute later on in the project, let's say the project is terminated, or there is a certain dispute between the client and the contractor, and you are going to go for dispute resolution, formal dispute resolution method, all these files will be considered as your evidence and as a case that needs to be reviewed by the arbitrator or the judge or the lawyers or the mediator or the conciliator, or the adjudicator. So these people will be reviewing these documents, looking at all the proper documentation. If you lost any of the documentation, you are essentially going to put yourself at a very, very disadvantage. And so we really have to be careful with these project files and project documentation. You see, I actually put it up here, in the first section, because this is what we do at the very early stage of the project. Okay. Then after that, you need to determine the line of communication. And you don't know how many funny stories I have with line of communication. As a young engineers, I muck up all the time with line of communication. No experience, honestly. Okay, so you need to find out what letter you need to write to who, and who is the person that you are addressing to, and then what letter you as a project engineer or a construction manager can sign, what letter you cannot sign, and who to CC to and who not to CC to. These sort of things. I have an experience whereby I actually wrote a letter about delays to the contractor, and I CC to the client or something like that, and I forgot what actually happened. But I know I got a phone call from the contractor, and they really blasted at me. Like, as a young engineer, coming back from universities in your first 1 or 2 jobs, you've got this really huge guy calling you up, and he is the boss. He's the contractor's company's boss, with like maybe 30 years or 20 years of experience, and he start to, like really blow down the phone, on you, and then and you're wondering like, what have you done, that kind of thing. And then, and after you realize that you shouldn't be sending that letter to so and so, you see, they're not supposed to know, you're supposed to solve this in this manner, you see. So you're having like, we don't know, you see. So that's why you need to understand what is the line of communication. And you can talk about this line of communication during the first meeting, the first coordination meeting. Ask, okay, so now, how do you want to do our correspondence? You can ask that. If you are belonging to the contractor, you can ask, can we be clear about the line of communication, and get the client to spell out, like what letters that you should be CCing to us, and what letter that you write to us and CC to the design professionals, and what letter that you write to the design professionals that you must CC to the client, okay? And then what issues must use correspondence, what issues must use site daily record, what issues must be spoken about during the minutes of meetings, and get that all sorted out, okay, and understand what is the line of communication. And then you'll be preparing insurances, banker's guarantee. Okay, so these are another two documents. You need to buy insurance at the beginning of the project, and usually there'll be two insurance you need to buy according to the contract, and that will be workman compensation and also contractor's own risk. Okay, so the client end will request for it, and if you're from the client end, you should be aware that you should be receiving this. If you don't receive it, you have to call and remind and say that you have to submit your insurance, to us. And then in every project, almost every project besides private project, some private projects also have this, but most government infrastructure project will have what we call banker's guarantee or performance bond. Okay, so performance bond is like the client is worried that the contractor cannot finish the job, so they have some form of money in their hands to actually compensate themselves if the contractor doesn't perform and go bankrupt or run away or desert desert the whole project, you see. So yeah, so this is the kind of documents that is needed, and you can do it two ways. Performance bond is like, in the first payment, you will deduct off 5% of the contract sum. Okay, there's a lot of money actually. So you deduct that off, and that one, or 5% of something, like they will specify an amount. Okay, it can be 5% of the contract sum, it can be a certain amount, okay, like 100,000, 200,000, or 2 million, or whatever. So then it will be deducted off, and that will be kept by the client, and it has to be returned back to the contractor should the project finish till the end, and the project is done, everything is done, everything is clear, you return the performance bond. Most contractors don't like this because this is like taking their money, taking 5% of the money is a lot of money, I tell you. Okay, sometimes they require 2.5%, but that is still a lot of money. In a very, 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 very big project, you're talking about few hundred millions or few $1,000,000, 5% is maybe the contractor's profit already. And you're taking off that profit, you're actually tying down the cash flow. So obviously, in the first payment, if you ask them to take off 5% from the contract sum, it is going to be really, really tough. Okay, it's going to be really, really tough for the contractor. So we do not want that. Okay, so the other option is the contractor will go to the bank. Okay, and they will do what we call a banker's guarantee. Banker's guarantee is like, you put your money in a fixed D. So you pick out that money, you put it in a special fixed D, and then let's say 2.5% of the contract sum. So for a 10 million project, 2.5 is what they call 10 million. 10% is 1 million. So you're looking at about 250,000. Am I right? Yeah. Am I right? Yeah, I think so. Well, something like that. So okay, 2.5% or 500,000. Okay, so you put that, they put the money, their money in the bank. Okay, and then the bank will issue what we call a guarantee letter. And that guarantee letter will say that, upon only upon certain instructions from the both parties, then this thing can be released, you see? Or in what circumstances the client can call for release of the banker's guarantee. So then this letter will be sent to the client and the client will keep it in their office. If there's nothing wrong, then this banker's guarantee is only a piece of paper. They can just tear it out and finish it, and that's it gone, and then the money in the bank will be returned back to the contractor. It is still in the contractor's name, actually. So it's like a fixed fee in the contractor's name, but it's guaranteed to the client by the bank, you see, should anything happen. So most contractor will prefer this sort of method, and most client will also accept this sort of method as well, instead of the performance bond method. Okay, so insurance performance bond is something that you need to prepare at the very, very early stage of the project as well. At the very beginning, the planning stage of the project, and then you need to also start to get ready, understanding what are the other authority. So maybe you're starting the project, you need to write letter to get way leave. What we call way leave means way of, leave means taking a break kind of thing, isn't it? Way leave means taking a break, meaning that you're telling JKR or you're telling DID or you're telling councils that I'm going to be working here on this road, I'll be affecting the road, I'll be affecting the pavement, I'll be affecting the footpath. You need to write to them to inform, and if there's a big traffic involvement, you need to write to the police department to tell them that, your contractors will be working here over this period of time. So we need to understand authority as well. You need to understand that you need to inform the authority, some other authority besides the authority that you are in the project with. Okay, let's say JKR is your client. You may have to get way from JBUB, or JBUB is a client. You may need to get way from JKR or DID or something like that, because you're going to be affecting their product. You're going to be affecting their works that is along the way, that is already done, that is their facilities, you see. So we will be putting up, we'll be doing things like that, getting ready the way leaves, writing to the different authority to inform them. And we'll be also, if there's anything that you need to shift or anything that you need to take away, like SESCO, you need to take away the cables or something like that, or remove the cable and put it into another area. You need to inform them, and they need to come out and scan the cable and make sure that everything is okay before you cover it up. So there's a lot of these earlier stages of preparation work that you need to be doing. So sometimes we call it the site generals and preliminaries, but that is a very big umbrella, but it is a very big umbrella that you need to do all these things. So you need to build up site office, you need to do temporary facilities, you need to get water facilities, you need to get electricity facilities, all this ready for your site work. Okay, so these are the initial things that you need to do. Okay, maybe surveying work as well is also a part of general and preliminaries, or it can be in the separate categories, okay, of its own. So then once you get these things ready, okay, your project is pretty much on the go, and you'll be looking into quantity takeoff. You'll be looking into most of the time when you talk about construction engineering, once you've got the award of the award of the project, you'll be reviewing on the drawings. Okay, so with your team of engineers and QSs and architects, if there's architects and QSs, then you will be looking into the drawings, checking, mainly doing the first thing is your quantity takeoff. Okay, so you need to check all your quantity takeoff. Okay, and make sure that you have the list of materials that you need to buy. Okay, and that is very important, because that is inventory, and some of this material you may need to buy later on in the project. Some of this material is going to be very early on in the project. Some of this you have to buy very, very, very early, because you need to order it from overseas. You see? So get that quantity out. Quantity takeoff is one of the first things that you do in project during construction, right before construction. Okay, and then you need to get ready your schedules. Okay, you should know already by now. You need to get ready your schedulings. You need to do your CPM. You need to know where your critical path method is, and you'll be looking at also doing your own company's budget with the material that you need to buy. You need to get ready your company's working budget, the cash flow, okay? The things that we've covered in cost management, this will come into picture now at this point in time, okay? Financial S-curve, physical S-curve, you'll be submitting to the client. So here we may even include things like, S-curves, the financial S-curves and all that. You need to submit to the client. But you need to do your own cash flow based on the material that you're going to be buying, and based on the people that you'll be employing. You need to work out on your own PV. You need to work out on your own PV also, okay? Meaning how much money you're going to spend over the entire project at which point in time, and then doing a studies on how well you'll be paid, and the estimated payment date and all that to get the biggest cash flow gap, and to prepare enough money to preparing enough of money and preparing enough of cash flow, okay, for the project, meaning that you may have to borrow from a bank, or you may have to raise money from your shareholders, and you may have to sell your shares, sort of things to raise money. So you need to get that ready. So these sort of things are usually done by, that sort of things normally we would leave it to the project manager, but I believe the construction manager will be part of it as well, okay? And dealing with a lot of this company cash flow, maybe the construction manager may not be involved so much, but it is there. You have to realize that it is there. It is something that needs to be done, okay? So you prepare your WBS, you get your material list out, inventory material list out, you get your schedule out, you get your cost, cash flow, and budgets out, and payment estimations, and how much every month you have to pay people, the expenditure list, get that ready. And then the next thing is work method statements. You have to get ready your work method statements, and you need to get ready P2P, okay? Your project quality plan, project safety plan, okay? And all your rubrics and all your checklists. So it is all going to be prepared over that month before the work starts. Usually after signing of the contract, after the letter of award, normally the contractor will get into action already with this sort of things, and get into this early preparation already. And once the contract is signed, normally the client will force you to go on to work on the site within about 14 days, okay? And 1 month will probably be the max for site possession. So usually when the contract is signed on the day, that will be the date of site possession, unless there's a specific site possession date later on, which you can request, okay? But if it's not, then it is understood that your clock starts to tick. The alarm starts to go the moment you sign the contract. And that is what we call a site possession date. I will talk about this site possession and all that in contract administration a lot more. But now, because like I said, this is part and parcel. We cannot just go one thing and then cannot, ignore the other thing. They are all at the same time one. So even though we try to split out our, lecture into different components, but it will be overlapping with one another, okay? So site possession is when the contractors are given the full right to the site. You basically kind of like what we call own the site for that period of time for you to do your work on it, and everything happening within the site is going to be the responsibilities of the site, of the contractor. So the contractor will be fully responsible for the work and also for anything that happens, thefts, burglary, fire. You have to buy insurance because these are the things that is going to be, you have to be accountable for as a contractor, okay? That is site possession. So from letter of award, when you get the letter of award, normally these sort of things, you are preparing it already. You should be starting to prepare it already, okay? And, creating files, and getting all the letters ready before your site possession. So the moment you sign a contract and it so happens to be site possession, you will also do your first coordination meeting on that same day. But there will be circumstances, many circumstances, they sign a contract on one day, they will call for a site coordination meeting maybe a week later or 2 weeks later, and they will do site possession then. And that is whereby that coordination meeting is the part that you need to get ready owe your banker's guarantee, and then um line of communication, anything that you're not sure about the special specification, you have to all ask during that time. And then once you get the site possession, that's whereby you actually go in and do your site office, get your electricity, get your water meter for the work, prepare your work method statement, scheduling. Scheduling, you do after you sign the contract, basically. You can do it earlier. Estimation, you do it earlier after the letter of award. So you see, you as you go along, as long as you get the letter of award, all these things will start to proceed already. Okay? Proceed, it will go accordingly already. So PQP, rubrics, everything, get it ready before site possession, or sometimes no choice, after site possession, you will get it ready. So even you get site possession, you'll be telling you need to write a letter. Formally, you need to write a letter to the client. You will say things like, upon site possession, we will move into the site. We will move into the site. The work will officially start on the site on the 7 days later or 14 days later, on which date, you see. So meaning that on that day itself, we will see the contractor machineries, people, chopping trees, doing site clearance, you will start to see that. And they start put up fences, put up site offices. These were a time that you actually move into the site. And now it's a bit funny. You've already got site possession, and yet you need to write to the owner about that you're coming. So yeah, like this is what is usually written in most of the contract. So you don't forget that. So if you have site possession and then you need to go into the site 10 days later, you need to write to the client and tell them the minimum time is 7 days. So meaning that you need to inform them 7 days ahead. So within this 7, 10, 14 days in between is also the time that you have to get ready many, many things. Okay, like what I've spoken about here. So getting these things ready, and then you are going to be, yes, easy. I put here quantity takeoff, what I've mentioned, job scheduling, material purchase, delivery schedules. Now, since the earlier things that you'll be doing, estimating and cash flow, organizing estimates and cash flows. Okay, organizing people, human resources, your team, and then you need to write to the client, say that this is the organization chart. From the contractor, we have Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. C as the scope of work, Mr. D as a construction manager, and all that, so you need to write. So you could probably circle this in the site coordination meeting as well, and later on supplement with a document. So you need to understand who is the representative from the client side, who is the representative from the design professional side, who is the representative from the contractor side. So these three people, they need to sort of hand over the management group people very clearly, because later on, who is to sign the letter, who you're supposed to write to, and all that, it will be the names that is going to be appearing on this list of people that you're going to be communicating with. Okay. So also, besides that, you need to organize the physical manpower, your carpenter, your operator, your drivers, and all that. They'll be coming into the site at this point in time. Okay. So you need to organize them and tell them, you need to write, do your subcontracting agreement, talk to the subcontractor, talk to your manpower, tell them when to move in, and get it all ready. Okay, so we organize that. So you will do your safety plan, your quality plan. So these are the things that we are getting ready during the earlier stages of the project, before the project starts, or as the project goes along. Also, you will be, at the earlier stages, 1 or 2 months. Maybe you don't get everything ready in the first 2 weeks. You probably would take a bit longer. So it is quite common. Like banks, you cannot say that I want it tomorrow and they can give it to you tomorrow. Bankers don't work like that, you see. Yeah. Okay. Any questions so far? Anything you want to share, your experience or your thoughts or anything that you feel like I've missed out, you know? No? Huh. It's so quiet. I feel like I'm talking to myself for the whole morning. Anything, boys and girls? Are you guys still here? Or like maybe watching dramas and munching snacks, something like that? Oh, do. Yeah, I mean, like now I know that doing pre-recording is probably the same as well because nobody is asking me anything anyway. So yeah, I mean, this first part is about your preparing things, getting things organized to go onto the site and start working. And so your scheduling is quite common, your cash flow, your PQP and work method statement. Work method statement, PQP usually will go together at about the same time. Okay. And yeah, I mean, like pretty much this is what we are looking at. And getting things organized, getting ready. It is very bad if you think that, you don't prepare, and when you come to that stage, you're going to be wasting a lot of time because if you're going to start to do this after site possession or after the site is being handed over to you as a contractor and you'll be urged to go to the site as soon as possible, then you're going to have a lot of stresses and a lot of things that need to be rushed during that 1 or 2 weeks period. So we do want to get, the moment you get the letter of award, you may want to do the quantity checkoff, things that doesn't cost you a lot of money to do, and then you just get it ready first, create the job files, and talk to the subcontractor, telling them that roughly when they need to go to site and preparing those subcontract agreement and all that. You don't have to sign it first, but you only sign it after you sign the agreement with the client. But at least you can actually have a meeting, talk to the relevant people, talk to the engineers involved. That means you are going to be moving on to this job at what time, when, and get it all ready. I mean, I like to get it ready. I like to plan my organization time properly. I do not like to do this sort of like last minute stress out kind of work kind of thing. So I strongly encourage you all to think about all these things. This list, go through this list. If you're being awarded a project when or your company as a developer or client, when you're going to start a project, go through this list. Use this list as a checklist, and see if you need to prepare anything in advance, or if you need to actually call the contractor, or you need to get them to submit anything over a certain period of time. You can use this as a checklist, okay, for the initial general and preliminary stage of the project. Okay, then we were going to have the next stage. The next stage is basically what we're going to be looking at is project control. So as the work on site starts to move, you are essentially, as a construction manager, doing a lot of control and monitoring work. Okay, and this control and monitoring work, what are you going to be controlling, and how are you going to be controlling? The most simple things, the most simple method that we are using for controlling is observation. Okay, so on every um on every site, basically, you will need to do your observation. Let me see. Can I open my file? Where is it? It's my Adobe. So first thing that you do, this is really old thing. This is really, really old. You know, we really have a lot more advanced kind of technique in the world of technology now. But the concept is the same. You have a site daily report. So the moment that you are being handed over to the site with the site possession, you are basically the most important document that you'll be handing over to one another is the site daily report. So you will have a format for site daily report, okay? And it can be in digital format, okay? It can be in a Google form format even, okay? And then you set it up very nicely to list down the activities that is on site every day, okay? During my time as an engineer, I have a book. So this book is like my logbook. And this logbook is what we call a site daily record. And it will record what are the activities on site today, what are the weather like today, is there any raining, who are, and do I have to go and get the rankage data, who are the people coming to work on site, who is the people working in the site office, who are the visitors on site today, and you list down all these things, you know, which machinery is working, which machinery is not working, which labor is working. I mean, like how many numbers of labor are working and all that. If the labor are under you, would there be a card system, like a punch in, punch out system for them to punch in, punch out on site? Okay, so this is going to be related to how much you can be paying later on. So how much work that they're doing on site and how much that you could be paying them later. You see, and the site daily record, we will have more or less things like this: the manpower, the workforce, you know, and then activities on site. This is just a sample. This is a very brief sample about what a physical book. So during the site possession, the contractor will prepare this like in the maybe file format, like a book format, or some form of like you know, like in the old days, we've got this really long kind of book, like a foolscap paper kind of thing, you know. So we will design it ourselves, you know, and then when as we progress for the past 10 years, you know, we have more on all this paper being printed out, okay, and then you compile that in a ring binding. Maybe you print out 300 copies or 400 copies or, you know, like 50 copies first, you know, and then you compile that, you ring bind it first, and then during the site possession, you hand over this, and everybody will write that day is the first day of work, okay, and then you write site possession, activity site possession, date is like this, at whose office is site possession or on site possession, and then contractors coming into work for the first day, you write down the date, you know, and then what is the activities and all that. So like I said, nowadays Google Form is so common, so we can actually use Google Form as well. Okay, and you also have other software like what we call Synchro and other Beam kind of softwares. You can actually monitor the project. You can take pictures, you know, and then you can actually compile it together with the forms that you created. So there is a lot of ways of doing this digitally now. Okay, so it may be good to do it digitally. So you get an iPad or a tab, you know, and then at the end of the day you record, and then you take photo and you attach the photos together with the record. So everything is there, you know, and this is very important, especially for remeasurement contract. So if you have a remeasurement contract, the quantity of work that is being done is going to be recorded every day. See. So if you don't record it, you cannot do quantity takeoff at the end of the day, and then you can't do quantity takeoff, you cannot claim accordingly. Okay, and especially for reimbursable contract, this is very, very important. For lump sum fixed price kind of contract, normally this type of method is actually good when it comes to variation order, changes, instructions, quality takeoff. I mean, quality, safety, and all that. You will use a lot of this information from your site daily record. So site daily record is one of the most basic tools. So whether you have it in a physical format or digital format, that one is another story, okay? But here, daily record is for you to record down daily what is happening. This is like a monitoring chart you have, like a nurse that goes into the patient room and do monitoring work, okay? And then what happens is from the monitoring work, it would you will convert all this information to relevant data, like what we call schedules. So you can take out your work, let's say you can go to your work breakdown, and then you can list down from the site daily record. You can see that there's so many people working in bar bending, in reinforcement, in the reservoir, in whatever area. Okay, so you need to convert this weekly. So normally what you do is you will take these documents that you do site daily record. It will be recorded by the cloud of works from the consultant side, and it will be recorded by the project engineer or the assistant engineer on the contractor side. And then both sides needs to record. You see, it's not only one person record. Some lazy contractor or some lazy consultant, they only get one person to record, and then they borrow the record from one another, you know. So there is things like that happening, but supposedly both sides have to do their own record. And then at the end of the month or at the end of the week, you will get your clerk compile that record into what we call a manpower return list or machinery return list, meaning that for that work itself, how many machineries is working on it on that week itself, okay? And this is going to be easy for you to pay the people later, pay the machine operators who's going to go by days, or pay the people who are going by the day rate, you know, or month rate. So you want to know the physical activities that is on site and how much work they are doing. You know, if you do have machinery that is not coming into work, then if it's over a prolonged period, like 2-3 days, you may need to call up the people, you know, who are in charge of this and try to get them to come back and work and help, ask them what's going on, you know. So without this sort of monitoring tools, it's going to be very difficult for you to fully monitor a site, because a construction manager, clerk of work, or project engineers or residence engineer cannot be at one place all the time. I mean, they cannot be at the whole entire place all the time. So they will need to check back all this record and look at this record to actually compile them into certain way to understand the activities on site a lot better. And this will be converted to schedules later. It will be converted back to schedules later. It will be converted back to your payment cash flow as well, and physical S-curve with your EV later on for the client as well. So these are very important method tools that we can use. We call it return schedules or manpower return list. Okay, return list, we call it return list, or plant and labor schedule. So you're looking at, you know, on the activities over that particular week, how many people are working and how many what is the intensities of the machineries and the intensities of the labor, intensities of the resources that is at that particular area, at that particular work, you know, so that you very clearly know that are you going to have a delay? Are you going to need more people, you know? And are you going to need more money? Are you going to need more time? You know, so these are all these sort of things actually is to understand, it's actually to monitor, okay? And to understand what is going on so that you can do better controlling. Okay, so these are some of the techniques that is available. Okay, and yeah, I mean, like material list, material schedule list. So you can set all these things up first in the beginning and then use it later on. And like I said, there's a lot of digital format nowadays that you are going to be using. So it is, but it needs to be digested. You see, monitoring, putting in the numbers, keying in the data is one thing, okay? But you need someone to physically convert this data into useful information for controlling purpose. And normally in our site, we will also plug on what we call a project coordinator. And project coordinator can be an engineer, a young engineer, or it can be a project like a diploma holder kind of thing who understand all these things, and or yeah, sometimes a lot of our project coordinators used to be like ladies, because they don't really we don't really put them to site in that sense, you know, but we get them to do a lot of this paperwork, digesting information on site, you know. So they will be in the site office, but more on the, you know, like compiling this data and all that. Does not mean that the ladies don't go to site, they do it as well, but then, you know, normally the bosses kind of tend to take care of the ladies more, so they will get them to do all this paperwork kind of thing a lot more. And a lot of guys actually don't like this sort of paperwork. It's too nitty gritty. They like to go around on the side, zooming around. So that is kind of like the old days kind of thing. Yeah, I'm not being prejudiced here. I'm not trying to be unfair here to the ladies or the gentlemen, okay? Yeah. Just that is a kind of like an old thinking, a tendency for us to employ ladies engineers to do coordination work rather than male engineers. Male engineers would like to take them off the side, that kind of thing, Yeah. So yeah, so these are the way of going about it. So you also control communication, make sure that everything is recorded and communicated properly. Site meeting, you need to do your site minutes meeting all the time, and then you need to control the methods of work, okay, and the material that comes in, okay, and out. And coordination is something that I want to mention as well. Coordination is on site. You may have a site that has many contractors working, such as a development project, like what you're doing for your IDP. You may have a main contractor who is mainly doing all the building works, and you have a contractor who does civil work. Or you may even have a few contractors, one do road, one do water, one do drainage. So when you have so many people working on site, and they have their own labor, they have their own people, they have their own machineries, when they all coming at the same time, it is like a big ball of rojak that has been put in the sauce. You can't see anything, So you need to be very, very careful. Who is to come in first? Who is to come in next? Who is to come in at the same time? Before you do this, the other person must finish, that kind of thing. So this coordination work is what a construction manager or project engineers, their work very heavily deals with this sort of coordination work, especially arrangements of subcontractors, laborers, and machineries. You will have many cases whereby if there's no coordination, the road contractor get the drawings, they come in and do their road, and then you realize that, or they do their footpath and they realize that the pipeline contractor hasn't laid the pipe, or the CESCO contractor, the telecom contractor hasn't laid their phone line or their electricity line. You see, so then what? Then you dig out all the footpath, and then the road contractor will start to scream and shout and say, what on earth are you doing? And then you probably literally going to have people fighting on site, like punching and, killing each other kind of thing, because they get so heated up talking to one another because of lack of coordination. So many things happen, like you have to finish your drainage first, and then get ready your CESCO and your water pipeline first, and then you do your verge, and then you fill up the excavation and do your footpath, and then do your road kind of thing, So there must be a good sequence here. That is what we call integration, project integration. Not only design integration, but construction integration is very important. And when you have your crane coming in trying to deliver bricks and doing your structure, and then your civil contractor trying to do the drain at the same time, you're going to get them through fighting, We're definitely going to get them through fighting, because it is just not possible, you see. I mean, like, there'll be too many things along the way. The bricks are going to be there, you cannot lay pipe, you cannot do drain, because the bricks are all along the way to do the work. To do the structural work, or the concreting needs to be coming in, the truck needs to come in, and then you've got all your pipeline all laying along the road, at the entrance. How to do, you cannot do that, you see. So this coordination work is very much dependent on your schedule. So you are the one who controls the schedule as a construction manager, okay? So the subcontractors and the contractor, they only see their part of the work. It is like in the orchestra, you are the conductor. You will see the whole piece of the music. The pianist is going to see their piano only. The flute, the wind is going to see theirs only. The drum is going to see theirs only. You cannot see each other's work. So that's why that conductor, that person standing there waving their hands, these are very, very important person here. Because as a CM, as a conductor, if you don't conduct, if you don't queue people properly, queue as in CUE, queuing, okay? Your turn now, you come out now. and get this guy to move in now. Otherwise, like I say, in the orchestra, you have a mass noise, but in the side, you have people bloodshed killing one another, okay? And besides, nowadays, maybe a bit more civilized, you get people writing to one another, and, in the client's office is going to receive a lot of letter, scolding each other, calling each other names, and wanting to sue one another, the kind of thing, and asking for compensation, blah, 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 it is a mess, okay? So coordination work is something that I really need to mention, that control for coordination work is essential. Not only you plan for it, organize for your people, you need to make sure that you coordinate them properly, okay? Material use, when to come. You cannot have all your men sitting there and the material is not here, the truck is not here, the concrete truck is not here, the bars is not here. So you have the machine operator, excavator operator, but your pipe is not here. Or the pipe is here, the guy didn't come to work, you see, the manpower is not here. So getting things ready, controlling is very important. So a lot of our work as a construction manager is controlling, is coordinating and controlling. Method of work is controlling, meaning that when you see the work that is being done, this is more on construction engineering already. So when you see the things are being assembled, are they doing it correctly? Are they using the right tools? Are they using the right equipment? Are they using the right expertise? It needs to be done, with correctly. Best methodology, with the right machineries, equipment, and manpower. This is actually very closely related to quality as well. So doing things right, doing the work right, and the product that is going to produce with certain level of quality, these are actually quite synced simultaneously at one another. So, quality inspections and monitoring is also part of it, okay? So, of course, you need to monitor the progress of the work, time, cost, quality, safety. What I'd like to ask this question in exam. What do you do as a project manager to control, or construction manager to control? What items do you control, And many people likes to write this: time, cost, quality, safety. Yes, this one here is part of it, okay? But this is not the answer. This is not the full answer. I will only take it if you say, if I want to monitor, if I say, please list down 3 items to monitor on site, okay? Or what is 3 essential critical items to monitor on site. I will only categorize this as 1, okay? Because this is the one category. You need to monitor the progress of work as versus this time, cost, quality, safety. You need to monitor coordination. You need to monitor material delivery. You need to monitor work method, the assembling. These are the things that you monitor. These are the list of things that you monitor. So if you write time, cost, quality, safety, I will only give you 1 mark. I won't give you 3 marks, okay? Because to me, there is only one answer. You didn't answer this fully, okay, ladies and gentlemen? So mark it, if I do have this in the answer question, I mean in the exam, I really want to see you write properly other things as well, not just time, cost, quality, safety. This is like old stories. Okay. And the other part of it is to monitor and is to manage the contract, which we will talk about next week. Which we will talk about in the coming session on Thursday. Okay. Yep. So this is what I've spoken about, labor schedules and all that. So this is all in the notes already. And listen to this while, going in conjunction with the recordings. I think that's all about it. And we will come back and sort of recap on this a little bit on Thursday. And if you have any questions or anything you want to ask me on Thursday, we can do that first. And then after that, we will move on and talk about contract administration. Okay. So part of control and monitoring is also to administer and control and monitor the contract. Okay. So this is the 6 things that you need to do monitoring work. Right. So I'm not taking attendance today, and I'll put this recording up for the rest of you who are not attending. And then 51 of you, so half of the class are not here. Why? You think this is a holiday or something? But I thought Batanang is only for people who are like really affected by the flood because they don't have electricity or they have moved off somewhere, you know. I know some people are in Christmas holiday. Yeah, I forgot about that. Okay. Some people went back to their kampong for Christmas holiday and there's no line. Now saya baru faham. Okay. They can't believe like 100 of you, I thought only like what 10 or 20% of you are actually affected by the flood. Some of you are staying in flood-free area, you know. Most of you are staying in flood-free area. So I think the other 30% is probably out somewhere in the kampong doing their Christmas celebration and cannot find lines. Okay, now I understand. Okay. Right. Any questions? But these are going to be in the recording, so no issue. Huh? Hey, you guys don't go and complain to the faculty that I actually have classes. Later on, they will say that, you know, why you have classes? You know, I'm not supposed to have classes, but I thought it's better to meet and all that. And everything is going to be in recording anyway, you know, so there's no difference from me doing a 10 minutes for 8 recording that and me talking through this and having a 1.5 hour recording. It's the same thing. No questions? No questions? Then that's it for today. Anything else? IDP, FYP, FYP, my students stay back later, okay? Any questions? Or am I so boring today that you've fallen asleep?
No, doctor. We are preparing for the IDP presentation for this Thursday.
Okay, so you're doing IDP presentation now. Do you want me to do a pre-recorded class on Thursday?
I'm not sure about others, but if doctor, is it convenient for you?
It's okay for me. Yeah. You will realize that pre-recorded classes are usually a bit shorter because it's me talking, you know, like here I get interactions, I ask questions, you know, I give you guys, you know, I do a bit of housekeeping and all that. So it will be a bit longer normally. Yeah. So yeah, I mean I can do pre-recorded. I can do pre-recorded if you're gonna be really busy with IDP presentation. What time, huh? What is
I
IDP
guess,
presentation?
yeah, IDP presentation will be morning.
Morning, huh?
Yeah, before project management.
Oh, this is your trial presentation, is it?
Yes, mock presentation.
Oh, okay. Okay, lah. If like that, then you go ahead. I'm sure Dr. Razak, we're gonna have a lot of things to say to you. Yeah, so you guys go ahead first. I will do pre-recorded and you tell Dr. Razak that if he needs to use up my time, go ahead and use up my time for your IDP. Okay. I'm sure he's gonna have a lot of comment trying to, you know, brush you guys up and all that. So I don't think 2 hours is going to be enough. So I'll be sitting here waiting for everybody to come, kind of thing, you know. Yeah. So better we do it. Better we do it. I will do a pre-recording for you guys, and I'll post it out after 2 p.m. or in the evening now, and then you guys focus on your IDP first, okay?
Okay. Doctor, may I ask, do you have any tips for us for our preparation for a mock presentation?
For the mock presentation,
Yeah,
mock
like what we
presentation
should.
not so critical, mock presentation, just do whatever you have. This is IDP 1, huh?
Mm.
Normally, IDP, we don't, you can show some sample calculation, but don't do slides of calculation. That is very important. Do the overall layouts, big speak about the overall layout, speak about how you get the overall layout, and what are the critical things, what are the constraints, what are the authority requirements for you to come up with that layout, for example.
Okay, doctor. Thank
Say
you.
let's say structural work, what are you can talk about the authority requirements first and talk about the orientation, like how you get the orientation and all that. Or maybe the site is already there.
Okay.
Let me give you an example clearer. If I talk about civil work, you're going to lay out your pipeline, correct now? So you're going to show the layout of the pipeline. So when you do presentation, you need to tell us that, these are the constraints, these are the concept, okay? These are the concept, these are the constraints, these are the authority requirements, and this will form your site layout, So it's like you need to tell us what is the foundation for your site layout. For that layout, where you're going to put your pillar hydrant, where you're going to put your whatever, and this will be subjected to later more detailed calculation in IDP, you see? So you can actually talk like that. So you can do it for structural work, you can do it for waterworks, you can do it for all the different components of the work. You list down all the important authority requirement constraints and the concept and the idea behind how you come up with that layout.
Okay. And doctor, do we actually need to open the camera and like doing the formal presentation?
They will get you to open the camera. They will get the 5 of you to open the camera. Okay, and then later on during presentation, they will get you guys off it. But one person speaking, they will on the camera. Then the rest will off the camera because otherwise the line will be very slow.
Okay. Thank you, doctor.
And also, what else you need to take note? So for my part, when you talk about the costing, scheduling, whatever I've spoken to you guys about, try to present that as well. Don't just like give me something that is out of way, out of the blue kind of thing, Something like sometimes I tell you guys, use this sort of method, but then, you start to show me like tons and tons of BQs during presentation, and I'm go like wondering like, what on earth is this, how did you guys get this, And the other thing is with concept, we do not like to hear things like I do not like to hear things like, you're going to use WEDA by septic tank. I do not want to see any recommendations or any supplier's name. Okay.
Okay, doctor, that means we stick to what we are going to design and like why we choose that instead of the choice.
I do not want you to say, okay, we're going to be using WEDA septic tank, and the advantage is that. So it makes me feel like you guys are salesmen for WEDA.
Okay. Okay.
These are like, you guys are engineers. In the future also, we do not want to recommend anything. We do not want to recommend it. I only want to list down what I want. My characteristic. I want my septic tank to be this size, this big, with this sort of functions. So find me septic tanks that has that. You see, so you don't need to recommend any. You don't need to recommend any suppliers at all, unless it's the client to tell you that they want it to be that one. See? Yeah. So as engineers, as architects, we have to be very, very neutral, very, very fair to everybody. We have to be fair to the whole industry. There is many suppliers, there's many precast suppliers, there's many roofing supplier. Why do you want to use Emken? Why do you want to use whatever, you see? So I do not like to see names, you see. I do not like to see suppliers' name.
The branding.
The branding, yeah, because you are not spokesperson for it, yeah.
Okay.
Then definitely you'll see me asking you, do you have a share in that company, or is it owned by your dad or something?
Okay,
So,
doctor.
yeah, you have to be careful of these points, huh? You can show us. Anything else that you want to ask? Okay, so first day we'll do pre-recording, huh? Okay. If there's nothing else, then just watch out for this recording with the attendance record that you need to fill up to put up a simple answer. So maybe I will ask you to list down 3 items that you need to coordinate on site, and you don't give me time, cost, quality, safety. I will slap you, okay? All right. Any other questions? Do I have to call names? Anna, how are you, Anna? You are around, Anna? You are the flood victim. How's everything in your area?
I'm fine. All good.
You're fine, huh? Good. Like you've already cleaned up the house and all that. You're moving back to your own house.
Yeah, I'm in my own house already.
Okay, okay. Well, it sounds like a big thing, no? In KL, yeah. You're from Selangor or KL?
Yeah.
KL, okay. And anyone else? Alan, how are you, Alan?
Hello, Dr. Ting. Busy?
Busy. Okay, yeah. Okay, now. I know you're all busy, busy, busy. Go and busy yourself. Okay. I will
Not
see
that's
you.
not what I mean, Dr. Ting.
It's okay. I know. I'm saying I know you are busy. Yeah. I mean, I'm just keep on asking you. Got any question? Got any questions? I feel like I'm actually taking your time.
No lah, no.
So far, since it's a very small group today, are you guys enjoying the project management classes? Are you guys okay? Anyone hates project management? It's okay to tell me you hate it. You know, it's not unusual actually.
For me, I like it personally because I was interning in the contractor office. So a lot of things that I didn't know, like what I see in the office was the bank insurance that you talk about just now, but I didn't know during my intern. I only see the document, but I know nothing about it. So now after you explain everything, so I can see what is going on now.
Okay, that's good. So I've make it practical enough for you guys. So, that is important. Okay. I mean, I think project management should be something that is so much of a experience sharing as well. And not that I know a lot, but yeah, just some day in, day out, when you handle more and more projects, you kind of learn more as you go along as well. So maybe a lot of things are very conceptual now for many of you. You may find it a bit hard to understand. Some of you don't see it, but then yeah, I mean, like you will look back and you realize, hey, I've heard of this before. The most important thing is you have heard of it before. And yesterday, my year 1 class, first time I met them, they actually tell me that, Doctor, you speak too fast. I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't get that complaint from my year 4, I think they said I speak too fast. Okay. So anyone think that I speak too fast? Like bullet?
It is acceptable for me,
You're more used to me already since year 3 until now. This one. And many things are also in the recording, so you can listen back. It's not clear. Right. Thanks a lot. If anything you need me to let me to explain, you can stay back. If not, then I'll see you guys. And yeah, I mean, I know you're going to be very busy with IDP and FYP, which is two major challenge for you all. For your year 4 lah. But that is life, ladies and gentlemen. That is life. Okay, that is life. It's an engineer, and it will only get more and more tougher as you go out. Okay, so you look back and say there's nothing here. Nothing. How's FYP presentation you think I know everything? No lah, I don't know. Seriously, I don't know. Okay, usually after the after IDP, Larry, ask Larry. Larry will know. He hasn't informed us anything yet. So I
Doctor,
presume it's going to be week 14, week 14 or week 15. I think it should be after 16. I think lah. I mostly suspect. Yeah. Yes. Who call me? Who call me?
yeah. Yeah, sorry, doctor. I would like to ask, is it possible for us to ask for the extension for FYP presentation? Like, is it
Can.
possible?
Can. Larry is a nice guy.
Really? I mean like we can ask Sir Larry only.
Because he's the one arranging. So if many of you go and say to him that, I'm so busy, my life is so tough, and then, I think I'm going to die already, and then blah, 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 and do a lot of tears, and then he probably will set it after 14.
Okay. Thank you, doctor.
Last year, we also had a situation whereby he set it on week 13 or something. And then after that, I think he called us up and said that, oh, we changed date because the students cannot manage. So yeah, you probably can. It's better talk to him now because he hasn't set the date to us yet. So likely is he will
Flexible.
listen to your input lah. Huh?
Okay, thank you, doctor.
Oh dear, I actually had this in the recording. I'm thinking all the bad things.
No, doctor, we will keep it a secret.
Yeah, don't say I say that. It's a nice chap. I mean, he's very understanding, very kind. So just ask him. I'm thinking actually fine as well because you guys will be sitting for exam. Not likely it will be after exams, but also because at that time many of you are actually going to go for Chinese New Year as well. So you also don't want to drag it too long, You just want to finish it and enjoy your Chinese New Year and then come back for your classes in March. So yeah, I mean, like I would say that the best date would be. We don't know when is the exam going to start. So I presume it's the 17th to 20 to 28. The exam is going to be on 17th to 28. So if they do FYP after that date, like on the 19th or the 20th, whether it will clash with any of your exams or not, you have to check. So I think it's better to communicate among yourself first before you guys go and talk to him. No, that would be my advice. Someone said, "Oh, Sir Larry, can you make it on the 19th?" And he say yes, and then somebody else come and say that I have exam on that day. Then you're gonna put him into a lot of difficulties. So try to talk among yourself first. Get a date that you think everyone is going to be fine, and then propose it to him. For the lecturers, we are okay because after that date we are not teaching anymore. So most of it will be marking. And FYP will be only about 1 day. I mean, like a full, not really 1 day because we split up into different groups, so it will be only half a day kind of thing. So that means like if I examine four students, then I'll be I'll give you my own WebEx link, and then I will also arrange my time with you guys as well. So he will set a date and a time, but then in between there, you can also set with your lecturers, the examiner who is examining you. So that is my tips to you. If you really do have problems on certain time, then you speak to the examiner, okay? So far, we haven't received anything yet. FYP is going to be to selected panels. Like me, I will most likely be examining Dr. Lee's students, right? And Hood and Anissa will probably be examined by Rohaida or Dr. Lee. That is quite common, yeah. We're in the same group, so you more or less will know, you will see that, let's say if you're doing transport traffic, you're going to be, your supervisor is wrong, but likely you're going to be supervised by, you're going to be examined by Zamri or Larry, or Dr. Radwan. That'll be quite common, yeah. Structure, there's going to be many of them, so we don't know, yeah. No, it's okay. You have time. Go ahead and ask. It's good to do interaction rather than me talking to the computer by myself. I feel like a dummy sometimes. Okay, if no question, bye-bye, huh? I'm hungry already.
Yeah, thank you, doctor.
Bye-bye. But the IDT presentation, the main thing will be at the 13th next week. Is it? The final thing will
Yes.
be next week, right? Mock is this
Yes.
week, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you still have time to ask me anything if you need to for the final one. The main thing is you'll be marked on the final one. The mock one is just to Dr. Raza is just doing you guys a favor and doing us a favor too, so that you don't shock all your examiner with your funny things, you see?
Okay. Okay, doctor.
All right, see you.
Thank you, doctor. See you again. Have a nice day.
Bye-bye, you too. Have a good new year, okay?
Doctor, are we gonna use this link or the other link?
We're gonna be using. Let me stop the recording first.